When you factor something, there are a couple different methods we're going to use in this class. Previous videos have discussed these two methods. This video will discuss the bottoms up method. There are a lot of different ways for you to factor a trinomial, something that has three terms that looks like this. No matter how you do it, we'll all end up with the same final answer. So if you remember a different method from high school or a previous math class, feel free to use that. Otherwise, I am going to be using the bottoms up method to factor. Here are the steps. A trinomial is usually written ax squared plus bx plus c. So for bottoms up, you bring that a back and multiply it with your c value. Next, you're going to try and come up with two numbers that would multiply to this new ac value and add to your b value. You'll write your factors and divide by a. It'll make sense when you see it, hopefully. Then you're going to have some fractions because you've divided by a, so simplify each fraction if you can. And after you simplify, if you still have a fraction, bring the bottom, the denominator, up in front of your x. So what I mean, let's do an example. Bring your a value back to meet your c. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So now I'm going to think to myself, or I'm going to write it all out. These are all the pairs of numbers I can think of that multiply to negative 10, and I want to choose the pair that would add up to negative 3. That means that I can write this as x plus 2 and x minus 5. But don't forget to divide by a. So divide both of these numbers by 2. This is called bottoms up. Don't forget that, bottoms up. So we need a bottom. That's where the bottom comes from. Step 4, simplify each fraction. 2 over 2 is just 1. I cannot simplify 5 halves. And now bottoms up, bring this bottom in front of the x. So no matter how you factor, if you know a different method, you should have ended up with these two factors here, x plus 1 and a 2x minus 5. You can have them in the opposite order, 2x minus 5 and x plus 1. You could have written the minus 5 and then the plus 2. That doesn't matter, but this should be your final answer. You should have a parentheses with a 2x and a minus 5. You should have a parentheses with an x and a plus 1. If you FOIL it all together, which means distribute it all together, distribute your x, distribute your 1, and add, you'll get back the original equation. Let's do a couple more examples. Okay, factor x squared plus 9x plus 20. There's not an a value here, or it's a 1, so I can skip that first step and some of the last steps. All you're doing here, these are really nice and quick, hopefully, to you. There's no a or a equals 1, so all you're doing is saying, what numbers can I think of multiply to 20, positive 20? That would be double positives or double negatives. You want to pick the pair that adds up to 9. This is bottoms up, but my a is 1, so the bottom here isn't really important. 4 over 1 is still 4, 5 over 1 is still 5, so you don't really have to do the bottoms up method when a equals 1. But, all right, let's do a bottoms up example again. So bring your a value back here. 2 times 4 is 8, and think to yourself, what pairs of numbers multiply to positive 8? Pick the pair that adds up to positive 9. Bottoms up means I don't need to forget my bottom. If you can simplify your fractions, simplify. So that would be 4. And then bring your bottom up. These last 4 examples, you may want to pause the video and try them on your own first. Pick the pair that adds up to -1. Bottoms up, so divide by your bottom. And if you still have a bottom, bring it in front. In example D, before you go straight into bottoms up, notice there's a 2, 2, 4. I can divide a 2 from all of these pieces. Greatest common factor. And now I can do bottoms up for what's left in the parentheses. In this case, it's going to be a quick bottoms up. It's not really bottoms up because A equals 1. What two numbers multiply to -2 and add to -1? E is also a quick one. I don't have to do the GCF first. All I have to do is say what two numbers multiply to -34 and add to +15. Oh, I got my signs mixed up. And for F, I really wanted you to see this one because in this example, both of my fractions simplify. But unlike all of my other examples, they simplify to other fractions, not nice, pretty whole numbers like they did before. So it's okay for that to happen. It's okay for you to simplify a fraction and still have a fraction in this method, but now bring your bottom up. And you have to simplify your fraction before you bring the bottom up. If you brought this 9 up and made it 9x minus 6 and 9x plus 3, that is not right. You have to simplify first.